Hey y'all, welcome to Adjuster Hour. I'm Nat. Today we're joined by someone who changed the entire pathway into this industry. After realizing how difficult it was to get a clear information and guidance as a new adjuster, Adam Gardner co-founded AdjusterPro, a company that went from one state licensing program to the nation's leading provider of licensing, exam prep, and CE. He's helped thousands enter the industry, and pretty much every adjuster knows his name, even if they haven't met him yet. Adam, welcome to the show. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you so much. It's a real honor and excited to talk about adjusting and my story. But honestly, what I was hearing about your story sounds more interesting than mine, but I'll do it.
Yeah, we're just so excited to have you, and so I appreciate the time you coming on today. But yeah, give everyone a quick little intro, just for the audience.
Yeah, you bet. So my name is Adam Gardner. I currently live in Dallas, Texas with my wife and four daughters, although they're grown now. So I guess I live with my wife. But, let's see, I started Adjuster Pro in 2005. And
Wow.
my business partner, Dan, shortly after that, we weren't partners originally, but the original name of the company was All Lines Training, and then it became Adjuster Pro, which was a better name. Dan came up with that. And I'll tell you as much of the story, as little of story as you want. So just lead me.
Yeah, we'll get into it. But yeah, let's start back at the beginning. What made you become an adjuster?
Okay, so adjusting was not on my radar. What
Sure.
happened was that I graduated from college. I was late to college. I found a college I wanted to go to in my mid 20s, and I was certain that I was going to graduate and just take the world by storm.
Mhm.
Instead, what happened is I had a series of kind of failures to launch. Number of different things I tried. I was a high school teacher. I tried various kinds of sales. And one of the things I did in that whole process of, I don't know how many jobs I tried, my wife, her brother, my wife's Canadian, and her brother would come down into this country as a roofer, and they'd go to these hailstorms. He called it storm chasing. And so I
Mhm.
found myself one season without employment, and he offered to take me on as an estimator. So I tried estimating for roofing, right? Now, I don't know how much you know about that industry. I assume you know a decent amount.
I do. I was in that industry as well. Yeah, I skipped over that part when I was telling you the
Yeah.
pre. Yeah.
So it's a great industry. I would never knock that industry, but it's grueling and it's not for the faint of heart, right?
Mhm.
But one of the things that happened is that day after day, we'd be on roofs with insurance adjusters, right? Talking
Mhm.
about and arguing about the roof and what's going to happen if the insurance company is going to pay for a new roof or repairs or nothing at all. And I started paying attention to these people. And I noticed that there were some significant differences between not only their demeanor, level of stress and all of that, but just, I mean, just to be kind of superficial, they drove
Mhm.
nice trucks, right? And
Yeah.
they were not covered in sweat and dirt. And I got to know some of these folks up on a few roofs, and it sounded like, frankly, like a better gig than I was in. Right. So my
Sure.
brother-in-law and I both decided we were going to get our adjuster's license. So we found a place that would do it. First of all, it was very hard to find. Second of all, it was just horrible training, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
You didn't learn anything. There was just some guy that told you about what answers you need to do on certain tests, and there was nothing about adjusting. I didn't even really understand exactly what happened. It's just at the end of this deal, I got a certificate. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Understand
But
that.
I went back home. I was living in Seattle at the time, and I said, "Well, I'm never going to do that again." Right? And I got a
Sure.
job with this international company doing sales, and I thought, "Well, I got in on this company, and I'm going to ride this to the rest of my, I'm going to ride it to retirement." Right? I'm having kids, and
Yeah.
trying to find a secure way to support them. And me and my boss were knocking it out of the park with this company. But after a very short period of time, the boss's boss flew in and congratulated us on the success of our department, and then said, "Oh, and by the way, you're all laid off." All right.
Oh, that's scary.
It was terrifying, honestly, because
Sure.
it shook my idea of security.
Hmm.
Now, what I didn't tell you is that the week before, my brother-in-law called me about Hurricane Charlie that hit in the Gulf Coast of Florida. He said, "Adam, come on, let's go do adjusting." I was like, "Oh, no, 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 no. No, I'm with this, I'll call it Acme,
Yeah,
right? I'm with Acme now. I got my future secure, right?"
sure.
So I called him, and I said, "Hey, is it possible to still go adjust?" And he said, "Yes, let's go, let's go."
Oh, man.
I didn't know what I was doing. I heard from him that we knew a person that could take us on. I had my license, so I had some credit cards, and I went and I bought some equipment, and I flew there with him to Tampa, and we drove down to I think it was Fort Myers, right,
Mhm.
where everyone was stationed, and it was wild. I'd never seen anything like a Category 4 hit, right? Trailer parks torn apart, roadsides down, and no power.
Jeez.
And by the way, how's the level of detail? Is this all right?
Oh, this is great. Yeah, I am very intrigued.
Because there's a point I want to make. We got there and it was just chaos. We found this
Yeah.
building that was basically an empty office building where this company, the first company that I employed with, they'd set up a storm office. We went
Mhm.
the elevator up to the fourth floor. The entire floor was empty, no partitions, no nothing, and there was just a couple of fold-out desks there and some people around and some wires running there, and there were stacks of claims on these tables.
Jeez.
Right. So we got there, and the guy said, I'll condense the story a little bit. He basically said, "Look, you guys are new. You're totally green. I don't want to give you all claims. There's three of you. I'll give one of you claims. You guys can all do them, but you got to turn them in as one person. And if you do those, then I'll give you more." All right.
Wow.
So we asked him if there's someone we could shadow, and he rolled his eyes like, "Oh, new guy, right?" And so he gave us a number, and we called that guy, and the guy said to meet him at Denny's at 5 in the morning. And we got there at 5, and he was a no-show, 6 no-show, 7 no-show. And finally we realized, look, we're just gonna have to figure this thing out.
Mhm. Yep.
And he handed me a disc with this word on it that said Exactimate. And he said, "Good luck." Right. Now, I found out later he had zero expectations of us succeeding, but that's how things worked back there. It was like throwing spaghetti
Yeah.
at the wall, 2004, throw a bunch of people at the problem and see who sticks.
Mhm.
Now, I had the gift of desperation. I was not going to fail at this thing. I had wife and kids and debt and mortgage and all that kind of stuff, and I did not
Sure.
want to fail. So we just started inspecting and taking massive amounts of notes. And I
Mm.
pulled the short straw to learn Exactimate and figure that out. So I'll try to get the story down so I don't take up this whole interview with the story. But what happened is, after about a week, I was able to produce an insurance claim for one of these big multi-million-dollar houses that we inspected. If you can believe they
Oh,
gave it
wow.
to us on our first,
Yeah, that's
like
unbelievable.
on the beach, right? On, Sanibel Island. So I was told all these horror stories about how it's going to get kicked back for revisions, right? Turned it
Mhm.
in. Sure enough, it got kicked back, but I looked through it, it's paper copy, red pen. I'm like, oh, I know what to do, right?
Mhm.
So I fixed those problems. I resubmitted it. Boom, it was approved, right? So we got through those 25 claims, and then I got my own claims. I flagged down some guy he had a for sale sign in the back of a pickup at a gas station. And so now I got my own wheels, right?
Yeah.
While we're rolling with my brother. So what happened is I got redeployed to Tampa because if you recall, I think there was Gene Francis, Ivan, like Wilma or something
Mhm.
all that year. Florida just got creamed. And I was up in Tampa. I had my own claims, and I started being able to get a claim done a day. And I'm looking
Wow.
at the
Yeah.
fee schedule, and I'm looking at the math, and I'm like, man, that's $350 a day I was averaging,
Mhm.
right? And then I thought, what would it be like if I could get 2 claims done a day?
Yeah.
I'm really hustling.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
in the meantime, there was a problem with their direct deposit thing, right? And I kept wondering if I was going to get paid, and I started thinking this is some kind of scam. I've been hustled, right? And every day I'm
Sure.
calling in, right? But I'm just hustling. I'm just doing claims. I'm trying to
Yeah.
figure out how to do 2, 3 a day. And then finally I one day I opened my bank account and I'd never seen a
Mhm.
paycheck like that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I almost wept, and I called my wife and I was like, we're on, right? So I got deployed again to West Palm Beach, and I'll tell as much or a little of the story as you want, but basically what happened is I figured out how to do claims, and I
Yeah.
figured out how to do them without having them reopening, and in a way that the store manager needed them done. So what that meant was
Absolutely.
other people got sent home and I got their claims.
Mhm.
My deployment never stopped. They opened mediation centers. I started getting mediations. They needed an appraiser. I started doing appraisal work. And
Wow.
then when storm claims started dwindling, I had gotten on a bunch of different rosters and I started getting calls for daily claims. All right. So I'm handling daily claims around Miami and south of Miami. And so I started having this thriving claims business just by hustling and doing a good job, understanding what the adjusting job was about. And I'll break there to ask if you have any questions or if you want me to transition into the founding of AdjusterPro.
Sure. No, that's amazing. So you saw an opportunity, you went for it and said, "Oh, wait, I can make a living and more doing this. I need to figure out how to get to that, get to that point." And you did it. So it just shows that if you are dedicated and you're willing to put in the work, great things will happen with this career. So I love that so much. Um, but let's talk a little bit about Adjuster Pro. You know, what gap, I mean, you kind of mentioned it a little bit getting started, but what gap in the industry did you see that became the spark for Adjuster Pro? When was that spark ignited?
Okay, good question. Here's what happened. Um, I I got a little full of myself. I was doing so well at claims, right? And anybody who would listen, I would tell them about how good claims adjusting was, right? It's
Yeah.
amazing. Nobody knows about it. It's just fantastic, right? You get to help people all day long. You got agency
Mhm.
over your own income. So people would say, well, how do I start? And I'd say, sorry, it's hard.
Yeah.
Just try searching on, I don't know, whatever it was back then, Ask Jeeves or, or
Yeah.
Bing and figure it out. But then I started thinking, well, why couldn't I do a class? And why couldn't we make it so that it actually helped people launch their adjusting career instead of just being junk, right?
Sure.
So I thought, well, I'm just going to figure it out. And I could go into detail there, but the short story is that I figured out how to become a provider and how to, get the class and all that. And the idea was kind of like a street smart how to be a claims adjuster deal. It's going to have licensing. It's going to have Xactimate, but not just any Xactimate. It's going to have Xactimate that teaches you how to do claims that you need to do. Like, so when you get out of that class tomorrow, you can go
Mhm.
deploy. All right. And then tucked in between was going to be, well, what we now call our adjuster success method, but that's going to be the street smart kind of how do you
Mhm.
succeed in this claims business, what they're not telling you. Right. So I launched this thing and I had no idea how much of a need there was for it. I just
Sure.
didn't know, because what I did is I started advertising on, you remember Cato, catadjuster.org?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I put a banner ad on catadjuster.org and my phone started ringing off the hook. And people were
Wow.
so hungry for real training on how to do this industry, right? So the origin of this deal was just word of mouth. People loved
Wow.
um, this licensing that actually was. What I did is I took all the questions and all the information you need to know, and I kind of couched it in real life adjusting, right?
Mhm.
Because a lot of the information's kind of that you need for the state is kind of
Sure.
generic, right? So
Yeah.
right? That ended up being the origin of what was then All Lines Training, but then became AdjusterPro. Because what happened is that the time came where just having the Texas license was no longer the ticket. I
Yeah.
don't know if you remember back in the day, all you needed is a Texas license and you're pretty much golden. The IA firms would handle emergency license, and then you get licensed in the state where you're at. Well, everything's changed, right? So I
Yeah.
saw the writing on the wall that we're going to need to get more states and to help more people. And eventually, we couldn't reach as many people as we wanted teaching live classes. So the online classes, and that's kind of the origin story.
Wow. Wow. You saw an opportunity and you went for it, and it
Yeah, that's
paid.
pretty cool. And it's funny because, when you're young, you don't know what you don't know. And I had no idea I couldn't do that. So I just did it,
Just did it.
and,
Yeah.
and I had some, well, it wasn't just mean, I'm surrounded by people that help make AdjusterPro what it is today. But, in the beginning, it was me and Dan, and then Melissa. But what I was going to say is that I had some really important people along the way. And I want to just tell you this one story. There was this guy.
Sure.
He had a claims company in South Florida, and I never did claims for him, but I became friends with him. And he once told me, when I called, like, really complaining about how hard claims were and how long I was working and all this kind of stuff. And he listened and he said, Adam, there's two kinds of people. And he's got a thick New Jersey accent. Two kinds of people in this world. You get lost in the woods. First kind curls up in a ball, starts sucking their thumb and calling for mommy, waiting to die. The second person stands up, dusts themselves off, and finds their way out of the woods.
Yeah.
And I heard that, and I was like, gosh, yes. Yeah, there's lots of reasons. Life is hard in a million different ways, and everyone's got problems, and everyone's got things that keep them from doing stuff. And it was just, he gave me this great gift where, I started doing things that I didn't think I could do before. So
Sure. We all need that motivation. Sometimes we need that kick in the butt to get that fire burning, and that's all it takes. So
yeah.
I love that. I want to jump into the audience real quick. Lance says he spent 25 years in public education before entering the adjusting field, which is awesome. We have David. Thanks for listening in, David, from Tulsa.
Wonderful.
Josh says, coffee tastes better during the adjuster hour. Thank you, Josh. Yeah, it really does. Michael said AdjusterPro did a great job of preparing me for the exams. Thanks. So that's awesome. That's what we want to hear. I got started in I took my test 15 years ago, got my course with AdjusterPro, and I have my career to thank for it. So super amazing. So let's talk about the, like, at what point did you and your partner go, okay, this is bigger than just training. This is like a movement that we have going on. Kind of, what point did that happen?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if there was an exact moment, but what happened was that, let me tell this aspect of the story.
Sure.
In the beginning, we were the only game in town. All right. And when you stumble onto something like that, or, I don't want to denigrate my seeing an opportunity, you just think you're just so brilliant, right? And at least I did, right? But then, as you know about this industry, not every season's the same, right? And then there's other people that want to do what you do, right? And there came a time where, I was running that claims company. I had actually hired another adjuster, and I was doing the training company, and things started getting a little hard in the training company.
Sure.
Right? Where I started thinking, man, I've been kind of not faking it, but just going on intuition. But this is something real. It's valuable. People value it. And if we want it to go on, we're going to have to ask ourselves if we're ready to take this seriously as a business and learn how to do business. Right?
Sure.
So that was a turning point for us. We started reading books and taking classes and stuff like that. We went to Dave Ramsey's Entree Leadership. We read Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week. We read what the Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, and we started getting into some more business related books like Patrick Lencioni's stuff, The Advantage,
Sure, sure.
Built to Last, and Good to Great. And so we started just asking ourselves, what kind of people do we want to be in business? What kind of company do we want to build? Who do we serve? And we started taking that seriously. And that's kind of been learning how to grow in that vein has been the task since then. And I date that somewhere around 2007.
Okay. Okay. Well, what has been your biggest challenge in building a company that serves adjusters nationwide?
Whew. Well, have you ever read, I think it's Tony something's book, Tony Hesh or something. He was the guy who created that shoe company, that online shoe company. His book was
Oh,
called Delivering Happiness.
mm-hmm.
Zappos. He was the founder of
Zappos. Yeah.
Zappos, right? And I remembered him saying, look, if you're not moving forward with your
Mm-hmm.
business, people are going to overtake you. People who deliver a better value to the marketplace,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I just, there were lots of particular challenges, but the ongoing challenge, whether you're working as an individual, as an adjuster, and honestly, that's running a small business, in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or whether
Yeah.
you've got employees and you're serving a larger audience, it's, how do I continue to stay ahead of the curve and deliver real value to my people, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's what people are paying for, right?
Yeah.
You have to. There's a lot of folks offering services, and you want to stand out as delivering the most value, in my opinion. So that's the ongoing challenge, is to constantly be asking, based on where the industry is and what's going on, what do we need to be right now to serve our people? And for us, our people are both adjusters, and we have a lot of insurance companies and the like at
Sure.
this point. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk about the industry access and let's move towards that. You know, how do you think access to adjusting education has changed since you started?
hmm. Well, I'd say it's changed dramatically since
Mhm.
I started. It seems to me, I'd say I talk about a few things. And the first thing I talk about are that there's a lot of people out there doing really good work, like what you're doing, right? Giving information about this industry, but also, lots of people with lots of experience doing great training, right? So that's where we were at one point, kind of a unique thing, right? The field
Mhm.
has been a lot of people with a lot of different talents and skills that have found their way into offer help to adjusters who want to get into the industry. And also, I'd say that the attitude of the independent adjusting firms and the carriers has changed quite a bit, right? In the beginning, there was this kind of almost mysterious contempt for new people, right? Like,
Mhm.
look, if you're tough enough, give it a try. But
Sure.
we're gonna try to make it difficult for you. And
Yeah.
I would say that has completely changed, right? That the IA
Mhm.
firms and the reputable IA firms and the insurance carriers are now looking at investing in and training and developing the insurance adjuster, right? So, and
Yeah.
you know, just the industry is evolving and changing with regards to technology. It's just a time when the old just get a license and throw your name out there really doesn't work.
Mhm.
And people see that,
No.
and they're answering that call, and as are we, right?
Sure. I would say, and we talk about this a lot on the podcast, the Facebook groups are once don't want to go in there. They still hold some contempt to the newbies, the Facebook groups, but yeah, it takes a lot, to get started in this industry. You got to put a lot of effort forward, but it is so rewarding that it's worth it. So having a good education pathway is ideal. Um, and not every program is created equal. So,
That's right. That's right.
um, yeah, what were you gonna say?
Um, yeah, I was going to say, because you were talking about getting into this industry and how that can be challenging. And I
Mhm,
noticed in your questions that you touched on with that we might talk about in this call that there was this question about what are the challenges of getting into this industry, and that's kind of that remains one of the challenges is that
mhm,
a person is really going to have to own this process and say, wow, I'm interested in this career and I'm going to take it upon myself to figure out how to get in and get the
mhm,
training, skills, and the like. And it's just there's no clear roadmap. Like walk to McDonald's, fill out the application. They sit at a table and ask you a couple questions, and then you're in the McDonald's training program, right?
yeah,
This is a six-figure career, right? Not just a job, and as such, a person who's serious about it, it's not like you go to medical school, you get your medical degree, and then you do residency, and then you're a doctor. This is,
mhm,
I'm going to invest in myself. I'm going to invest in this career, and I'm going to learn what it takes to be marketable and be desirable to the IA firms, and I'm going to become that, right? And it is, we are constantly trying to clarify that path for people,
mhm,
right, to help
sure,
that happen, but it still isn't something that's just a turnkey solution.
mhm.
That makes sense?
Yeah, so the, it's really up to the adjuster. You have the Adjuster Pro has the information, has the pathway to success. It's up to you to fulfill that your potential to that pathway. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's you
Yeah.
have to have the drive, you have to have the passion. I talk about that a lot. It's having passion because again, this is a career. You're dealing with people's lives, their livelihood, their businesses, commercial policies. You're dealing with people's business and livelihood. That you have to have some type of passion and drive to do this career. It can't just be, oh, I heard from so and so that independent adjusting is a pathway I can take. You got to have some of that passion and drive. I mean, wouldn't you say you had some passion and drive when you started to get you over that hump and get you to the point where you need to be?
I did, and it was fueled by and helped by desperation, right?
Hmm.
I've reflected many times on my career trajectory. When I was younger, I was an hourly employee. I drove a forklift at Costco Wholesale. All right. And I knew exactly what I was going to make based on my hours, and that was my paycheck.
Hmm.
And then, eventually I got into salaried positions like when I was a high school teacher. And then when I took my first commissions based job, it was a very difficult transition,
Hmm.
right? I was selling used cars. And basically, at the beginning of the month, they clear the whiteboard with your name there,
Yep.
and you got a big zero, right? So every month you're thinking, oh my God, I've got diapers to buy, I've got food, I've got
Hmm.
all that, and you're hustling to try to fill that board. But
Sure.
at the end of my first year of doing used car sales, even though it was way harder psychologically than teaching high school, I made double the money,
Mm.
right? And then when I transitioned to adjusting, right, it was even another step. This was all on me, right? Other
Hmm.
people were giving up and going home, and I
Yeah.
was, no, I'm gonna do this deal, but it was all on me. I was paying for my hotels, I was paying for my gas, I was paying for my Xactimate subscription. Everything was on me. So it was
Sure.
another step. And so I guess what I want to say is I just don't want to denigrate. If you're going after this, I totally encourage you, but I also want to honor that this is a challenge, you
Hmm.
know, and I want to honor if you're making a step up from another type of career into this type of self-directed career. I just want to honor that.
Yeah, we have a good comment in the in our chat. I tell everyone it's a lifestyle, not a job, which I think describes it perfectly. It's totally different. You are your own business essentially. You have to run this as a business. You market yourself. You have to have time management. You work remotely, you work from home, or you have your own schedule. I mean, it is a whole new lifestyle that people aren't used to when they enter the career. Maybe they're not aware. Now, if you go staff, that's different, but as an independent adjuster, it is a lifestyle. So thank you for that,
Yes.
Richard. I appreciate that.
It's good.
And then
And,
we,
I even had to learn to manage things like my health, right? My
yeah,
first deployment, I was living on fast food and Starbucks frappuccinos, and I was eating Tums all day long, and it was horrible. And I
yeah.
had to start learning how to manage my health. So anyway, please
Oh yeah.
continue.
No, yeah, I would always try to find being an independent the healthier spot. So, maybe getting a sandwich but it's so hard to eat healthy and take care of your health when you're on the road constantly. So I completely understand. It's a good point to make. We have a question from Michael. Do you offer CE courses other than state license courses?
We do, absolutely. We have CE courses for every state, and that fulfill all the requirements and your ethics and so on and so forth. And we also have live instructor-led Xactimate classes. Yeah.
Yep, and you can use Adjuster Hour 10 to save 10% off of those classes, by the way. So yeah, absolutely getting those classes. Um, so Damien is actually the owner of Specialty Adjusting, which is just
Cool.
so happens to be our sponsor, Specialty Adjusting International, and my employer. I started off with AdjusterPro and recommend them to all new IAs entering the claims world. Keep up the great work, offering a great service and product. So thank you so much for that. It
Thank you,
really is
sir.
such a great product. Like I was to the audience, I was telling Adam, I printed out my Adjuster Pro study guide. It is like this thick. It's in my bookshelf, and I still use it today. I got to go back and reference. Wait, am I crazy, or is this the way it's supposed to be? So, such good information that you will use your whole career. So, Michael, again, thank you. Have you considered a course that prepares IAs for the entrepreneur side of the job? Oh, running the business, not just passing the exam.
You know, there's so much more that we could do here, Michael, and thank you
Mhm.
so much for the thoughtful recommendation. A lot of this information is in a course that we have in what we call the Total Adjuster Package, right? Which packages our licensing for whatever state you need to get licensed in, and the live instructor-led Xactimate. And we've also got this soft skill course, very, very, very key to this business, and the adjuster success method, right? Which is the kind of the time-tested best practices that'll help you succeed in this business. But yeah, there's more that we can do with regards to the entrepreneurial side of this business. And thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, wonderful comment. Thank you so much. So let's go back to our questionnaire. If you could remove one barrier that stops new adjusters from succeeding, what would it be?
If I could remove one barrier that stops adjusters from succeeding, there's a lot I could say there, and I don't know, if I had more time, I probably would say something different. But this is what I'll say today, and we can riff on it if you want. Um, a lot of folks, no one really showed them that there's more to do than just fill out a few resumes and send them in,
Hmm.
right? The barrier that I think is maybe one of the biggest ones is just the lack of like mentorship with regards to how to pursue a career, right?
Sure.
Um, because one of the things about claims, if one of the reasons why I got claims when other people were sent home is because I made claims close. All right. So a lot of times you'll be out there and you've got some addresses where you can't reach the people, right? And so those claims are hanging open. Well, you could just say, well, there was nothing I could do. I couldn't reach them. Or you could set about trying to figure out how to find those people,
Hmm.
right? I used to use this program called Streets and Trips and Delorme to map my way out. And I'd find myself, whenever I was in the neighborhood of people that I couldn't handle, I'd start, or couldn't contact, I'd find them. So I'd find a way, all right, to get that
Hmm.
done. In other words, resourcefulness is
Yeah,
an is a important aspect of doing claims, right?
I
You
love that.
can't you can't just like, well, nobody told me what to do, right?
Hmm.
And I think that demonstrating that in the process of getting into this business is important too. You're open-minded, you're curious, and you are doing more than just throwing a few resumes out there, right? You're contacting the AA firms, you're getting to know them, and you're finding out, what do I need to be in order to be working for you, right? What kind of
Absolutely.
So I just say that that's a huge. We could do more to help people through
Mhm.
that process, right?
Do you think we help them, or is it a trait that they already have that they need to utilize? Is it a trait that you can teach?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a combination of the
Mhm.
two, right? It's
Sure.
this, not every career is for everybody, right?
Yeah,
And not
that's right.
everybody's ready for every career at every stage in their life, right?
Yep.
And like I said, I don't know if I could have popped right from teaching high school or driving forklift to doing claims. I don't know,
Mhm.
right? I had that process of going from commission sales in cars to commission sales in technology to doing some door knocking and selling roofs and stuff like that by the time I got to out there in the field doing claims, right? So,
So, yeah, going back to being resourceful, when I was studying my exam, I noted, it's obvious to me that I didn't know construction. I mean, it was obvious. I didn't know construction. I've only done, I worked in the storm chasing environment in a degree. I used to be the one that sketched the roofs and did the estimates. So I knew that portion of the process. But claims is more than roofs. So what I did was I went to Home Depot on the weekends after work and I studied materials. I would just go through the aisles and I would ask questions. Hey, what do you use this for? What is this for? And I would aggravate the heck out of Home Depot, and I would find contractors and aggravate them and say, "Hey, tell me, draw a stud wall and all the materials from the stud wall to the exterior for me and teach me about that." But I knew nothing was going to stop me from doing this career. Nothing was going to get in my way. So you have to be resourceful. If you don't know something, you got to learn it, figure
yeah.
it out.
Now,
But yeah,
with that attitude, a person is absolutely unstoppable, and
oh yeah.
they will be doing claims, right?
Yeah,
They will be doing
that was
claims.
my attitude.
Yeah,
I
and
I
that's
yeah.
absolutely true, and it's true that you can't exactly teach that,
Mhm.
that there. But like that story I told you about the guy who told me that there are two kinds of people. One will curl
Yeah.
up like a baby and wait to die, and there are people that give you little, you know, uh, I
Mhm.
don't know, little chunks of gold, treasures throughout that
Yeah.
help you along the way, right? Because nobody can do it totally alone, you know.
No,
So
no, they can't. And then having the mentorship, I had mentors. I truly believe in having a mentor get you through those first, you have certain mentors throughout your career. The one that helps you get established, that teaches you what you need to know, guides you, and then as you grow, a mentor to grow with you throughout your career. So definitely need that.
you know, I
Um,
I noticed a similar kind of thing, if I could, real quick.
yeah,
Uh,
please.
I basically didn't get a high school education, but when I
Mhm.
wanted to go to this fancy college that I went to, they told me if I wanted to get in, I had to go back to community college and get a high school education. And so I went back to community college to take high school classes, and I'm in these classes of like 50 people, and the teacher would ask a question of the court of the, and nobody would raise their hand, and I was looking
Mhm.
around like, I'll raise my hand, and so I was the blabbermouth. I wanted to understand everything. If I didn't understand something, my hand was up
Mhm.
because I realized,
Sure.
man, I'm not in high school anymore. I'm paying for this, right?
Mhm.
I'm paying for it out of my pocket. I'm driving forklift at Costco to pay for this course, right? And so
Yeah.
I'm gonna take what I need from it. So,
Mhm.
like you said, I'm gonna be in Home Depot and I'm gonna tap someone on the shoulder and say, hey, teach me what, because you got to ask. If you don't ask,
Yes.
nobody's gonna give it to you. So
No, you don't know what you don't know yet either. So that's what I've been told recently. You don't know what you don't know, and I'm like, you're right, you don't. But so yeah, how do you see continuing education shaping the future of this profession? Do you think it needs to be expanded upon? Do you think what we have is enough? What do you think?
Hmm. Well, I'm gonna give a kind of a candid answer to that, if I could.
Sure, please.
Um, we have struggled for years to try to give CE that people that really will impact a career.
Mhm.
Most people just want to get their CE out of the way in the last week of, before their license expired, and they just want to get through it as quickly as they could. So
Yes,
it's just a balance to try to really make uh, try to give even just a little bit of a tidbit in there that's going to impact someone's career, right? But
sure,
if a
sure.
person is depending upon their CE, they're
Mhm,
nobody's going to depend upon their CE to grow their career, right?
mhm.
That it's wonderful if there's individuals who will use their continuing education and really harvest the value out of it. That's true,
Mhm.
and that's great, and we love that. But most folks are going to need to be proactive and self-guided with regards to building their skills in their career and
Of course.
uh, staying ahead of what the IA firms are looking for, and they'll tell you, right? If you're
Mhm.
working for one of the big IA firms, you can stay close to them, and you'll know what they're needing and what you can be.
Yeah, the smart thing to do is to take the CE classes that you lack, knowledge in. That would be the smart, responsible thing to do. So I encourage everyone when you're taking your CE courses, just try it, pay attention, do the courses with intention, and not just hit next, 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 because it's like 9 o'clock at night and you got to get your, I've done that before. I've done that before. So we've all been there. But if you're not going to do the online, go to the conferences, pay attention. Don't just go there to get free swag. Like I like to get my free swag and, um,
Yeah, that's
pay
a really
attention and
good
learn.
point. If you're
Yeah.
going to get to see at the conference, go there and listen and learn,
Yeah.
right? Stay for the talks that resonate with you, and just take it, just kind of like squeeze the juice out of everything you get, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's great advice. Well, let's shift a little bit. Let's check the chat. Yeah, biggest problem a lot of people have is lack of communication and being scared to ask for help. We
Hmm.
have a question from Michael. Have you noticed any change lately in demand for new licensing because claim volume has been slow? Hmm. Feels like the first year in a decade without a major hurricane. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something, when I got into the business in '04, some of you will remember this, have been around for a while. Hurricane Charlie hit first, and then Gene Francis Ivan, and then there was Wilma, and then the next year was Katrina.
Hmm.
And so I had years of I just thought this was what adjusting was like. It was like an
Yeah.
absolute fire hose, right? It was like just, a raging river, get a little boat and hop in there and hold on, right? Uh,
Yep.
and so I was really kind of surprised when the first time that I went through a year where there wasn't a major hurricane. I was like, huh,
Mhm.
that's kind of weird, right? And then another year,
Sure.
right? And then you start thinking, well, gosh, maybe this whole thing's just bunk. And then boom, there's a superstorm Sandy, right? Or there's a
Yeah.
Harvey or there's a Ike or whatever. And then it's like, oh, okay, I see. This is just a different lifestyle,
Mhm.
right? This is a an investment now. And I also learned there's more than just cat claims.
Yeah, absolutely.
I started getting daily claims. When I handled daily claims like I handled cat claims with the same kind of urgency, that was like, oh my goodness. Yeah. I'd get these companies, they say, hey, we got a guy in South Florida. Turn on the faucet, man, and
Yeah.
send as many claims as you can, right? Because right, you get the claim, you call the people, you schedule, you drive down, you inspect, you treat them with courtesy and respect, you write a
Mhm.
fair estimate, you submit it, and it's all done in a couple of days, and people are going, wow, that's fantastic,
Yeah.
right? Anyway, so there are going to be busier years, and there are going to be people that are only interested in cat claims. There's
Mhm.
going to be a segment of the population that just wants to ride the easy wave, right? When there's a big surge, right? So yeah, licensing is going to be up and down, and it's a
Mhm.
long game.
Yeah, my first boss, I was employed with them for 10 years, a firm in Baton Rouge, and they told me, don't sleep on the daily claims. Daily claims is where you grow, you expand your knowledge. You know, insurance adjusting is not just wind and hail claims or flood or hurricane losses. It's the plumbing, it's the fires, it's the thefts, it's you know c- all of the things, and so you
Dispute
learn
resolution.
so much. Yeah, so take get to know the daily claims, get in the groove. Yes, sometimes they require more information. Maybe, theft losses, you got to wait on a personal property inventory sheet or a police report. And it takes a little bit of time. But take a chance on the daily claims, learn, expand your knowledge base, and it's going to do wonders for your career.
Yeah.
So let's move into the future of licensing and innovation. Yeah, so super important. How do you see technology changing the way adjusters train, deploy, and do their jobs? A loaded question there for you.
It's a loaded question. Yeah. Well, yeah,
Mhm.
it's interesting. I don't think anybody knows the final answer to this thing, right? We're
Yeah,
all we're all kind of stunned by the power of artificial intelligence right now and tinkering
yeah.
around with it. And I'm thinking to myself, right, when I used to have to write out those reports. So just so you know, if you haven't
Mhm,
done claims yet, you're going to need to write a cover page that's basically a report about what happened, right?
mhm.
How the claim went down, anything that happened that the insurance company might need to know about, like, hey, this is supposed to be a rental play, or it's supposed to be a homeowner, but there's a rental, there, and then you've got to write like this. Basically, what if you're going to spend $150,000 of the insurance company's money, you have to tell them why.
Yeah,
Kind of like you're kind of like making an argument, like a lawyer might make an argument in a case, right?
sure. Exactly.
You got to justify it so it doesn't get kicked back, right? So I write out this whole report, and it would take me a long time. And now that I tinker with AI, as part of my job, I think, wow, man, can you? I just can't even hardly imagine if I had the power of that to,
Mhm.
help me get more claims done. So
Yeah.
there's going to be changes, and the fear is always in every industry is like, look, there's no more people needed, right? There's no more adjusters needed, and I just don't see that in a million. I just do not see that at all, right?
Mhm.
I heard an interview once by a guy in the AI business, and he said, look, AI is not going to take your job, but people who use AI are going to take the jobs of people who don't use AI, right?
Yep, there you go.
And I would extend that, and I just say this: you don't want to be a technology denier, right?
Mhm.
Like, things are changing. Xactimate's working towards more mobile solutions, and you're gonna need to adopt yourself there, and you just stay on the edge of what's happening, because the general sense is this: where it used to be just get a license and we'll throw you in there and we'll just see what happens, and there'll be a high attrition rate. The trend is this: we are interested in adjusters that take this career seriously.
Mhm.
They're investing in themselves, and they're staying current, and they take it seriously. So
Sure.
there's going to be, maybe you could say, there's going to be a smaller number of more highly qualified adjusters
Mhm.
as things go forward. Now, that might not even be completely true either, because there's my daughter, who's in the field for a couple different hurricanes. She did some deployments in call centers, desk claims, right?
Mhm.
So there's going to be people doing that too, and that's a way into the business, right? Starting
Yeah,
out with
absolutely.
so technology will invariably change things, right?
Mhm.
There was a massive change with Eagle View and all the competitors that came in with aerial pictography and roofing. You were probably doing this too, but I was up on every roof with the tape measure, right? I sketch out the whole roof, I'd measure the whole roof, and I'd build it all in Xactimate. And a lot
Yep.
of people have been doing that for years, right? And this is just the next step in that process. Is that a helpful answer, or is that just kind of?
Yeah, no, it's great. It's absolutely true. And yeah, AI technology is going to be around. Let's use it to help us write letters better, help us write our conclusions, our notes better in the claim file. That's what I did previously. I would use it as, hey, where am I with this claim right now? Let's figure it out. And I would ask them the AI, and the technology would tell me, oh, here's a quick update for the insured. So you can use it to your advantage, but you have to be willing to adapt. Having that adaptability is huge in this industry because it's forever changing. But yeah, when I first started, I was told, oh, technology will take our jobs. We're on the way out, and that was 15 years ago, right? So it it's just changing, and let's not be afraid of the change. Let's embrace it. So I'm going to ask you some lightning round questions real quick. So let's do this. Just whatever first comes to your mind, just say it. So,
Okay.
and this is live, by the way, so let's be careful too.
Okay.
Okay, lightning round. What's one myth you wish every new adjuster would forget? Maybe that one's tough.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know that I got a lightning mind for the lightning round. What's one myth that I wish every new
One
adjuster
myth.
would forget? That they just need a Texas license.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Yes. Okay. What's one underrated adjusting skill?
Soft skills.
Soft
People.
skills. Perfect.
100%.
Perfect. Love it. One thing you'd ask every IA firm to do better.
Invest in their people. Help
Invest in their
people
people.
understand the roadmap to getting deployed.
Love that. Okay, fun question. Deployment food you never want to see again.
Oh, deployment food I never want to see again. Any fast food.
Any fast food.
Yeah, Wendy's. Never want to see Wendy's again.
Wendy's. Okay, yeah, there we go. And if you weren't doing this, what career would you have chosen?
Oh boy, if I wasn't doing this, what career have I chosen? I think I would have to end up being in sales, but I can't
Sales.
imagine doing anything else, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
same. You have to pry adjusting out of my cold dead hands is what I would say. You have to literally force me out of this industry. I'm not going anywhere. So I completely understand that. And then let's talk about you know moving forward. What is one thing a brand new adjuster should do this week to move forward? What's some advice you'd give a new adjuster?
The advice I give is just take a step forward. Just
Mhm.
take a step forward every day, every week. If you haven't got your license, get licensed. If you don't know Xactimate, get Xactimate trained, and just start getting in touch with just. You don't have to eat the whole elephant in one bite. It's just a bite at a time, right?
Love
What's
that.
the next step? And that's what I would suggest is just make a simple roadmap, get licensed, get trained, and just start checking off the boxes.
Here's a really good question um, that I want to talk about real quick. Do you think we'll ever get to a point where the courts accept an AI's opinion on a claim or liability issue as standalone evidence? Mm,
Mike, that's a fantastic question, but it's way outside my wheelhouse. I'm as
yeah,
fascinated and curious as you are, right? I'm
I would
experimenting.
say heck no,
Yeah.
heck no. I don't think we can ever just use AI technology. We can use it to find coverage concerns in the policy, but as a standalone, anyway, that was a great question. A
It
standalone,
is.
absolutely, absolutely not. Man, the comment section is just going insane. JR bacon cheeseburger is like,
Delicious, but try living on it, right? I mean, you
oh,
got to
that's
live
so
on
funny.
crumbs too. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Okay. So we talked about new advice for an adjuster for a new or advice for a new adjuster. What should a seasoned adjuster stop doing?
I think a seasoned adjuster should stop bad mouthing new adjusters and should
Yeah.
understand that this industry needs to be nurtured and cared for, right?
Yeah,
Help the new guy or gal.
absolutely. When when I was working as a secretary at this little furniture store, one of my coworkers, Karen, I told her what I was like, this is what I'm doing on the side, like, I'll secret him. This is what I'm studying for. I'm going to be an insurance adjuster. And she's like, oh, my brother's one. You should talk to him. So she gave me his number. I called him and he said, why do you want to do this? So I told him the story why I want to do this, which we'll talk about on another episode. And he goes, okay, I'm going to help you as much as you need. But the only thing I ask in return is that you help the next person. And boy, did I take that to heart. And I try to help every single person. If you even mention to me you want to be an adjuster, I'm like, I'm your girl. Ask away. So as the seasoned adjusters become more seasoned and as we develop wrinkles, let's help the newbies because they're taking over the industry as we exit. So yeah, I love that. I love that answer.
Thanks so
And
much
then
for all you're doing. This is
oh,
fantastic. It's really helpful.
it's I love it. It's so much fun. But let's talk. Let's end on this note. How can listeners connect with Adjuster Pro and plug into everything that you're doing? Give us some information on how, after today, how can adjusters and listeners get to Adjuster Pro?
Absolutely. It's not a profound answer, sorry, but
No,
adjusterpro.com, come
yeah,
and we have built our business on making sure we're accessible.
hmm,
So if you reach out to us by email or call us on the phone, you're going to talk to a real person, and we are going to spend time with you and invest in you and your career. So
love that.
find us here at adjusterpro.com.
And y'all are very active on LinkedIn as well. I do follow you guys on LinkedIn, so please give Adjuster Pro a follow. Right now, I think y'all are. I mean, you can use my code for 10% off, but I think you actually have a discount on your website right
Yes,
now.
we do. We do. This is
So
the last day. That's right. You'll see the
yeah,
banner ad if you get there. Yeah.
yeah. So go check that. Go check that out today. Go run to the website. Sign up. Get your CE credits. Um, and invest in your future. It's not a cost. It's an investment. So remember that. Is there any last words you have for us, Adam? Thank you.
I'm just so grateful for what you're doing for the industry and appreciate you.
Oh,
Thanks for taking the time to talk with me.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah,
Yeah.
thank you, Adam, for being on the show. Again, this is Adjuster Hour where you can continue learning, evolving, and becoming the best adjuster that you can be. Why be good when you can be great? So thank you guys so much. We're going to end on that note, and I'll talk to you in the chat, in the comments. Bye, guys.